Alright, welcome to the Prot Warrior 3.3.5a guide. My bad, I usually have my chat like super full screen, but I know a lot of you guys have complained about that and you don't like it, so I'll reduce the size of the chat. We're gonna get into it. So first off, you're a fresh level 80 warrior. You just hit level 80, kind of have an understanding, you know a few of your skills. You want to know how to set up your action bars using the base Blizzard UI and everything. You have no add-ons or anything. If you have add-ons, so this guide is going to be for the bare basics of the average player. Assuming that you're good or not good, assuming that you don't have 50 different add-ons, you don't have your recount, you're not pulling top DPS, blah 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 blah. So that's the assumption. So if you already have your add-ons and you have your keybinds and you already have all that, that's cool. I'm just gonna assume that you're a noob though, and I'm gonna get into this. Anyways, first off is your rotation and what you want to do, right? So you're a Prot Warrior, you just hit level 80, you have a few abilities that you need to learn and go through. First one is Devastate, Sunder Armor essentially. If you look at the ability of regular Sunder Armor, you can see right there it says causes a high amount of threat increased by attack power, right? So the basic Sunder Armor increases threat. Devastate is an add-on to it, which causes damage, a percent of your weapon damage, uh, including more damage from that. So this is one of your abilities. You're gonna have your abilities macroed together when you're doing it. Devastate and Revenge. You're going to use the Revenge skill on every single one of your abilities. If you're doing single target, you'll use Heroic Strike. If you're doing AoE, you're going to use Revenge. So this is all for single target, right? I like to add Revenge and Bloodthirst into my macro for Heroic Strike, as you can swap between Fury and Protection and still use the same macro because Revenge is unable to be cast as a Fury. But regardless, you use Devastate, and it's going to be Revenge and Devastate. Revenge gets casted whenever available. I think. I'm not sure if this macro in particular is working appropriately, but that's the general idea. You want to cast Revenge as often as possible. Anytime you're spamming Heroic Strike, your Revenge will be casted, or your Bloodthirst if you're Fury. That's just how the macros work. So you're going to be casting Revenge off cooldown every time you block. That's going to be every 5 seconds. And every time you block in between those 5 seconds that it becomes available. Revenge is the number one threat producing skill that you have based on how often you block, but it really doesn't matter as you're able to get Revenge off as soon as it comes off cooldown because it is a 5 second cooldown. It's a little bit longer compared to Arms, which has a 5 second or a 1 second cooldown. Protection has a 5 second cooldown. Then we have Shield Slam. You can see right here at the after reading that, you can pause it if you want, but it's damage based on your shield block value, and it causes a high amount of threat. We use Concussion Blow whenever we feel like it. It stuns an enemy, so it's nice. It's like a Hammer of Justice for warriors. Heroic Throat, this causes a whole lot of threat. It's a really nice single target threat. It's like an Icy Touch, I would say, maybe a little weaker. Then we got Thunderquap. This is why a lot of warriors tend to not like tanking because you're really just using Thunderclap and Revenge, and a lot of like if you ever watched an Asmon Gold video, he would be saying Thunderquap, Thunderquap, and it really is annoying because like this is a 6 second cooldown ability and it generates a modest amount of threat, but it's like your only ability to generate threats, so it can cause a lot of frustration for warriors. But you can read that right there. Give me 1 second. My mic. Okay. So as you can see, is this ability generates additional threat damage based on attack power and whatnot. Then we got Shockwave. This stuns all the enemies. It's an AoE. So we're gonna build up some Fury, and I'm gonna show you how we would pull in a dungeon. So you've got a whole bunch of enemies. Say we got these 4 enemies. Yeah, here we go. We got 4 enemies. Dodge to this guy, jump to this guy, drop the that was some lag. Stupid. But anyways, you want to essentially get in between all of these. Drop that as you're dashing, and you drop the shockwave. Boom. That stuns all of them. And because you use CC on them, not only did you get the thunderclap damage off, but you got the thunderclap damage off, plus you got the shockwave damage, and then you hit them with a bunch of cleave, right? We're gonna generate some rage. Sometimes I click, I apologize. That's not the way I usually play, but I will click if I feel like it. If my hand's on the mouse while I'm doing something and my keybinds are too far away, I'll click. It doesn't matter while I'm showcasing it, but I do not click while normally playing. If you are clicking, you want to slowly break away from that habit and start using your keys. Anyways, you use Revenge. You see how the Revenge is doing damage constantly, and it's spreading the damage. You can be over here, right here, and then you would Devastate, and boom. Reduces the puncture, and this stuff like this is viable. It allows for more single target threat. I prefer going with Fury while doing this, as it gives more defensive ability. And you can go into arms for more crit damage, which will give you even more threat if you're struggling for threat. There's a whole bunch of ways of playing Prot Warrior, but this has been generally my most successful way of running it. So let's get back on the ranch. AoE pulls go like that. Single target. Yes. Single target. We would go in. We would charge him. Thunderclap. We're using our heroic strike, assuming he's attacking us. We shield bash him as soon as possible. We start using our devastates. We drop the thunderclap ASAP. We use a demoralizing roar, and we keep using sunders. We would have a lot more fury because the boss is damaging us, and we keep spamming heroic strike, revenge, and shield slam, and we use devastate until we have 5 stacks of sunder armor. And we would drop the shield block, giving us the shield block CD, which even generates more as you block. Every time you block, you get 5 rage, which would be really nice. Unfortunately, these are dummies. I can't show you. You would do the heroic throw. That would give you even more threat. Drop the devastate. He has 5 stacks of sunder armor. Keep dropping it. Simple. Throw the thunderclap. So you have a couple of what's it called? Debuffs. So first off, this demoralizing shout debuffs every enemy, reducing their attack power by 575. It's a modest damage reduction from the boss, makes them weaker. If you are doing an AoE pull, it makes it even easier to tank AoE. And then we got Thunderclap, which reduces enemies' attack speed by 20%. This is essentially the same as a Frost Death Knight's improved Icy Touch and a Paladin's improved Seals of Justices or Seals of Light. You know, it's whatever seal they're using, but it's the talent that reduces boss attack speed by 20%. So this is the basic rotation. So you do devastate all this, and then you have your taunt on number 7. You have your rages, so you would use Berserker Rage first. Gives you a bunch of immunity effects, but more so generating extra rage when you use it. This consumes a global cooldown. Blood Rage does not consume a global cooldown. Berserker Rage would increase the rage that you get from Blood Rage, because as it increases, uh, um, as it increases the rage that you get, you would use Blood Rage, and it would give you even more rage, right? Um, so yeah, Blood Rage and Berserker Rage used together is two ways of generating more rage. Very useful. So as I said before, charge and intercept are two ways of like quickly grabbing enemies. I go here, I go here, I go here, and then I intervene back to this guy and I dash here. And you can literally do, like, you can triangulate mobs. I know it's a funny word to say, because it's usually used in sign shows. But you would triangulate the mobs by dashing to this guy, dashing to that guy, and then dashing back to your teammate. And then you would start doing AoE and grabbing all the threat of all the enemies that you just pulled. And it's actually very useful to be able to do a triple dash. So let me show you. Let me see if I can get these guys into the group. And then you also have shield bash. This is your interrupt. You would use this whenever you have. I'm gonna try to get this guy into the group, but you would use this whenever you have to interrupt the boss. Heroic throw is another single target thing, along with concussion blow. I explained them, and that's essentially your general basic things. What's the guy's name? Oh, when you're doing intervene, you could put the names on it, and it would allow you to do what you need to do. So let's try this combo, right? So we charge this guy, and then charge back to this guy. And it's actually pretty clean, shown right there. That was actually a really nice combo. Triple zoom, dash, dash, dash. It was small area, but you can charge much further than that. That works really well. And that also, it protects the guy that you're intervening to. I'll show you what intervene does. You run at them and you reduce their total threat, and you intercept the next damage that they, or next attack that they're gonna get. Right. Now we're gonna go into cooldowns and how you're gonna use them. You're gonna use challenging shout. To get every enemy within 10 yards to focus on you and attack you. This is good for AoE, but it will taunt the boss if you're in range of the boss. So be careful with that. This is my bloodlust macro. Uh, so if you want to quit a guild or leave a guild, you just type /G quit and it'll help you leave the guild. Back on the ranch, I take Piercing Howl. This is a 50% slowing ability. Costs a little bit of rage. It slows enemies for a decent amount of time. Quite useful. We got enrage regeneration, shield wall, last stand, intimidating shout, and those are our cooldowns, right? Along with the challenging shout, which is an extra taunt. So if you miss your taunt, you can use challenging shout to hit your other taunt, right? Disarm is also another decent like cooldown that you can use whenever available. It's not the best. So in rage regeneration, you need an enraged ability to use this, but as a protection warrior, you're always going to have an enrage ability. Anytime you block, parry, or dodge. So anytime one of your avoidance stats activates, you get a 100% chance to become enraged, and it increases physical damage, right? So that's really cool because you could just use that to get enraged regeneration. It gives you 30% of your total health back, so you essentially get 3% health back every second for the next 10 seconds. However, if you pair it along with Last Stand, it gives you 39% of your base health, so about 4% of your total health. Um, when you get Last Stand. So essentially, when you do this, you want to use Last Stand first. So I'll show you. You go like this, you're gonna activate Last Stand first. It's gonna put you at a whole higher amount of health. You're gonna activate Enraged Regeneration, and you're gonna be getting 1494. And you see the difference. You're getting like almost 300 health less per tick, right? So you use Last Stand and Enraged Regeneration together to pretty much come back from the brink of death. It gives you an instant injection of like fucking what's it called, morphine, essentially, giving you like instant health access. So you'll get the 10,000 health, and then you'll get like 500 health a second, which can be the difference between life and death. After that, you've got your shield wall. This gives you 40% damage reduction. It says 60%, but it's actually reduced by 40 because of this glyph that we have. So this glyph reduces the cooldown by half, but makes the damage reduction only 40% instead of 60%, right? So you get a net positive of 10% total damage reduction, right? But that's not really how it works, because it's a cooldown. 60% is overkill. 40% is just enough. So when you activate this every 2 minutes, it's gonna save your ass every 2 minutes. You activate it every 4 minutes, it's gonna make it where you really don't even need to be healed every 4 minutes, but you're not gonna have it as much. So that's why this glyph is usually the best. I prefer the glyph of villagers. Vigilance. I prefer the glyph of vigilance. Vigilance. God bless. I can't speak. I prefer this glyph because it gives you an additional 5% of the guy's threat. That's the top DPS. And then I prefer Last Stand. Last Stand gives you an extra minute off of this. So the base cooldowns are 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and 10%. This is a buff you would give to somebody. Say this guy is a Fury Warrior doing 20,000 DPS. I'm going to get 15% of his total threat. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm going to get 15% of his total threat, reduce the damage he takes. And anytime he gets attacked, I'm going to have my taunt refreshed, right? I can taunt this guy, 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 taunt all of these guys if they hit him. Anyone who gets hit by my vigilance will instantly reset my threat. And that's quite a broken mechanic. If you're talking about a Fury Warrior who's a moron that's going to continue getting aggro from everything because he's doing so much damage. So you could just taunt over and over and over with this, right? You only have one buff to contribute to the raid as a warrior. You pop the commanding shout, it gives you health. Gives you about 3,000 health with the buff. Making a video. Sorry. But yeah. So you get that health, and then it increases your health by a flat amount. It's the base amount is 2255. However, you can increase this by getting commanding presence, which gives you an additional 25% of that. So the 2255 is closer to like 3,000 because of it. We're gonna move into talents pretty soon. Oh, and then intimidating shout. If you're being attacked by a whole bunch of ads, you're gonna use intimidating shout, and that's gonna fear everything. Also, shield block. This is a very basic one. It makes you able to block 100% of the time, um, and it doubles your block value. So my block value is 721. Somehow, I don't know how my block value is so low. It was like 1400. I don't believe that, but um. I think in raid, like the block value increases due to like basic buffs and stuff. But anyways, you pop this, you get 10 seconds of 100% block chance. This gives you um like 1500 block value, making your shield block an incredible amount. You're gonna like essentially hold your shield up and block everything. You're gonna get max rage if you're being attacked by ads. This is the go-to when you're tanking bosses. You're gonna use this over and over and over, regardless, just to reduce damage incoming. And shield reflection is another cooldown you're gonna use every 10 seconds. It reflects any spell casted on you or any ally of yours. Um, like any of the guys in your party. So essentially, it reflects Keliseth's bolts Frostbolts from Lady Death Whisper, just a whole bunch of stuff. It's a really nice cooldown. It gives you like a very strong ability to mitigate damage from spells. So shield block and spell reflection should be used off cooldown essentially. And yeah, that's essentially it from what I can see here. Professions, you can use engineering for some buffs. Nitro boots are nice, but they only give you damage. I prefer the 22 stamina, gives you a bunch of health. The most important thing from any profession is this though, reticulated armor webbing. This gives you 885 armor on your gloves. It's quite a massive bonus, and with tier 10 gloves, you can have almost 3000 armor just from your gloves alone. It's very massive. So engineering is a must as a tank. Uh, Mining is an acceptable like alternative to jewel crafting. Jewel crafting gives you 3 plus 51 stamina gems, and that's your bonus. So you get 3 plus 51 gems versus the basic 30. You would subtract 51 minus 30 to get the actual profession bonus. So it would be 51 minus 30 is 21, and then multiply that by 3 gems that you're getting, and you're getting a total of 63 stamina from your profession. If you consider other professions like mining, mining gives you 60 stamina, so it's really not too big of a difference. You don't have to get jewel crafting. However, it is a net gain of 3 stamina, so it's technically better. It's technically this, but it's really preference at that point when you're talking about 3 stamina. Um, Last but not least, jewel crafting is the most optional one, which is why people prefer it. Let me see. I have red gems where you can choose to get strength, so you can get your bonus in strength, or you can get your bonus in stamina. So both my tank set right here and my damage set right here, they both benefit from the bonus. I get plus 28 strength and 14 armor pen from jewel crafting as a DPSer, and then I get plus 50 or plus 63 stamina as a jewel crafter. So it's really about customization at that point when it comes to professions. But overall, I would suggest just get engineering as one, as it's a must, and then get whatever other profession you want after that. Um, I would recommend, if you're trying to make money, to get a gathering profession, mining, herbalism, or skinning, because they all generate money. The other professions utilize the stuff that those 3 professions generate, and they make money off of themselves. Anyways, moving on. Um, we've already discussed all the skills. We discussed all the buffs and everything, the cooldowns. Um, you would use shield wall, and then you would use last stand and then rage regeneration on two separate occasions um, to mitigate damage. And then let me see, there is another thing. You would use the indestructible potion before you pull a boss. So I don't have any on me right now, but that reminds me that I should go buy some. So I'm gonna go do that right now. Um, as I'm talking about the next thing that we're moving on to. I covered glyphs a little bit. Glyph of shield wall, glyph of vigilance, and glyph of last stand. If you're finding yourself unable to taunt bosses or missing your taunt a whole lot, then you're going to want to use glyph of taunt. I have glyph of taunt and glyph of vigilance in case I feel the need to do either. But I've never really had a problem with my taunt, because if you miss your taunt but you have vigilance and that guy's actively taking damage, taunt again. Taunt, 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 taunt. Also, if you're going to be the main tank, which usually the warrior is a main tank because of their block value, warriors can mitigate a lot of damage using shield block over and over and over. So they could be the main tank trying to reduce the damage they're taking, similar to a paladin. Paladins are way better than warriors when it comes to tanking. It's a fact. Warriors are all the way at the bottom because they don't have the best benefits. But warriors are still pretty good. They are not as trash as everyone makes them out to be. Um, so back on the ranch, I'm gonna go grab the potion, and show you the glyphs. The minor glyphs are going to be Thunderclap, increases the range of your Thunderclap. Charge increases the range of your charge, so you could start the fight sooner without the boss aggroing you, so you can generate the rage. When you charge an enemy, you generate 15 rage and you try to stun it. The stun, I think it generates more aggro on the boss, even though it doesn't actually stun the boss. But CC usually generates more aggro. And then Glyph of Command, it increases the shout duration even further. So this lasts 6 minutes, so you don't have to use it over and over in a fight, which is nice because it's a global cooldown. It's a global cooldown and it's 10 rage, so not having to use that during a fight, or at least having to use it only once, is really nice. Plus, it's really annoying casting it every 2 minutes. Let me see. Crafting, it was crafting, alchemy, potions, indestructible potion, right? Yeah. So this is your potion. Indestructible. Hopefully they're cheap. They're super easy to make. So these are the potions that you want to get. I'm going to get a couple stacks. That was a decent chunk of money. Did it because I love you guys. You would use these twice in a fight. You would use them at the beginning of the fight before you pull the boss, so it lasts 2 minutes. And then you would use them in the middle of the fight. So you have four minutes in the fight of having an additional 3,500 armor. These are very helpful towards reaching the armor cap, and actually just very helpful in general for doing good in ICC. Armor is a very, what's it called? It's a very powerful stat for damage reduction. It's just flat damage against physical, as you can see, and damage. It scales linearly. As the armor goes up, the damage that you would take, like, it's the same amount of damage that you have reduced, right? So, at this point, you're only taking 33% of the damage, right? You're taking 1/3 of the base damage of a boss that they put out. Say you had no armor at all, you'd be taking 100%. So Marigar hits you for 200,000. This reduces it down to no, more realistically, Marigar hits you for 100,000. This reduces it down to 33,000. Before all other factors are factored in. So of that 33,000, when you get more armor, say you get another 30,000 or another 10,000 armor, it would reduce that 33% by 25%. So you would really only go up to about 75% or so, right? And last but not least, the armor cap is 4,900 or 49,900 and like 90 armor, I think, or it's like just 49,900. So essentially it's about 50,000. It will start saying that you're capped out on your armor after about 45,000. This is not true because that's your armor versus level 80 enemies. All these stats are against level 80 enemies. You can see the armor pen right here. Armor penetration rating 44%. Enemy armor reduced by 3.14%. That's enemy armor reduced for level 80 enemies because you are level 80, right? Bosses are not level 80, they are level 83. They have higher stats than that. So even if you have 100% armor pen, you do not have 100% armor pen versus a level 83 enemy. You only have 100% armor pen versus a level 80 enemy. Okay, so that's something to take into account. So it's 49,900, not 45,000, as many would believe. So reaching the armor cap of about 50,000 is quite essential to reducing the maximum number of damage points that you can take, right? You want to get as much armor as you can and as much stamina as you can. Another thing is dodge, parry, and block are all quite useless. You don't want to worry about these stats. Bosses hit you for like 20, 30,000 damage when they're hitting you so hard. getting a little bit of block so you can, oh, I block 4,000 damage. You're still taking 16,000 damage, right? Um, and then armor block is also post mitigation, so it is a really nice stat to have, right? Block is not a trash, like a completely useless stat, because it's not before mitigation where you're taking that 100,000, you're blocking some of it, so you're only blocking 4,000 before mitigation, and then the armor takes place, right? So that's why armor is superior to block. That's why um, health and armor are superior to block, because they give you more maximum effective health, not just block, but all three avoidance stats. They give you more, so they give you more effective health. So healers who are healing you can react to the damage you're taking much better. Armor is much better than avoidance stats in all regards, because the more armor you have, the more damage reduction you have, meaning you're taking less damage and it's a consistent steady amount, right? You're taking 100,000 damage every hit, you're having your armor reduce it to 33,000, and say you have like 60,000, right? And I don't know, somehow it gets reduced and you're only taking 20,000 per hit. You can take 3 hits and not die. The healer knows this. He's like, okay, I'll heal him after 2 hits. He'll be fine, right? If you have like 40% dodge, 50% parry, 80% block, you're over here getting hit one time, dodging this, parrying this, dodging this, parrying this, and then you're getting hit and you're taking 90% of your damage, and then the next hit you run the risk of, oh, if you don't dodge, block, parry, you'll die, right? So that's why avoidance stats should always be like dismissible. You're gonna have a whole lot of them as a tank with tank gear. You're gonna have a whole lot of them where they contribute to your damage reduction overall, where you don't take as much damage, but they are not going to be something you focus on, because they do not give a consistent rhythm to the pace of the fighting that you have to deal with. That's why this item right here is considered best in slot. Perhaps it could be considered the ICC 25-man Marigar bracers on heroic are best in slot. These are a worthy like adversary. However, these give a flat amount of armor, and they're just overall really good. But the flat stats from this give much more stamina. So you're trading avoidance and stamina for armor. A lot of people prefer to do that because armor tends to be a better stat than stamina, as it improves the power of the healing that you receive, right? Uh, the more armor you have, the less damage you take, but the less health that you have. The more health that you have, the more damage you take, or the more health that you have, the more damage you can take. But having less armor means that you're going to, like, you have a bigger health pool. There's more health that needs to be healed, and the damage reduction is not as high, right? So armor tends to be preferable over health, but having a good combination of both is important. That's why trinkets like unidentifiable organ are best in slot on certain bosses. If you're the main tank on Blood Queen in Blood Queen's lair, and you're the main tank, you're gonna want something like unidentifiable organ, and then you're gonna want the Putrefied Twilight Scale, the Ruby Sanctum 25 trinket. It's gonna be this trinket that gives a shit ton of armor, 2,600 armor, and overall you're gonna get like 4,000 armor from just your trinkets alone, right? You are gonna use the Onyxia ring, that's gonna be armor filled, and overall you're going to have armor on your trinket, your helmet, your art, this that, and literally everything. Like, all roads lead back to armor, because armor is amazing. It reduces the flat damage you take, and you're just one big tanky beefy boy. You're still going to have a whole lot of HP because of the 30% buff. Even without the 30% buff, you still have kings, and then you have some talents that boost it. This gives you 9% stamina, so you have 19% stamina increase from your talents. You are going to struggle at the start when you're trying to gear up with defense rating, because you're going to want Pillars of Might. Pillars of Might are very important. This is the best in slot bind on equip blacksmithing item. You can purchase this from any blacksmith as they can create it. It's a bunch of primordial serenites and titan steel. It gives the most armor any pair of pants can give, but it does not give defense rating, which is something you'll be lacking. You do not want to be gemming for defense rating, but you can if you do 10 defense, 15 stamina, and it gives you stamina from the socket bonus, right? So this, by doing a 10 defense, 15 stamina, I'm getting a total of 21 stamina from 15 plus 6, right? So I'm only losing 9 stamina for 10 defense. So it's really not that bad, but I would much prefer getting the stat from the gear itself. But there's the problem of not having enough defense from the gear itself, as the tier 10 set does not provide enough. So my character right now, I'm gonna go through gearing, and then I'm gonna go through talents and finish up the video, I believe. So gearing, you're gonna want your tier 9 set. This is gonna be Trial of the Crusader. Very easy set to accumulate. You just get a whole bunch of emblems of triumph. Say you got your RDF heroic, random dungeon finder heroic. You run this. You do your daily like normal dungeon. You just blast through this. So you get 2 emblems of triumph every day while you're leveling from 68 to 79. This still takes place even after you hit level 80. So I usually like to put on the Shadowmourne Full Fury set, go massive DPS, and I just go crazy and kill everything in the normal dungeon, as you know you're doing level 70 content with full bis level 80 gear. It's really fun. And it still gives you the 2 emblems of triumph, right? And then after you do your daily and you get your free gold, then you go to the heroics and you would run the daily for the frost emblems, but then you get the constant reward of 2 emblems of triumph. So you get your like 3, say there's 3 or 4 bosses, you get 3 or 4 emblems of triumph through that dungeon, and then you get your 2 emblem of triumph reward. You do not want to waste time on like trophy room bosses from what's it called, Utgard Pinnacle, and then you don't want to do dungeons like the Oculus or Culling of Stratham because it slows your progression down. It's like you get three emblems of triumph for like 40 minutes worth of work. It's terrible. But yeah, you're gonna get the tier 9 helmet, tier 9 shoulders, tier 9 chest piece, and the tier 9 gloves. That gives you the 4 set bonus, which reduces your shield block ability by 10 seconds. It makes you quite the strong off tank. It decreases the cooldown of your taunt, but that doesn't really mean anything when vigilance like instantly it instantly refreshes it. So the first bonus, the 2 set bonus, is quite terrible. It only gives you 5% devastate damage, but the 4 set bonus is massive. It gives you another like 10 seconds off the cooldown. That's already at 40 seconds. So you're getting this twice every minute instead of or 4 times every 2 minutes instead of 3 times every 2 minutes, which makes it very powerful. So this is a heavy damage mitigator. You can actually use challenging taunt on Deathbringer Sarfang. This is a fun fact. This is not a smart idea either. But this is a fact. You can use challenging shout to taunt all the blood beasts to you. You can use shield block to block every 30 seconds. So every time they spawn, you use challenging shout or not blood rage, but your taunt ability. You grab the beast, you use shield block, and you're blocking all the damage that they do to you, so they don't do any damage to you, and you mitigate all the damage that they would do, right? So long story short, you don't take any damage from the blood beast on Sarfang as a warrior. And you can actually taunt them and hold aggro on them. And then even after your shield block wears off, you can use shockwave, you can use concussion blow to stun them. So you can really handle the early bosses of ICC incredibly well as a warrior. It's ridiculous just how easy you have it. Whereas people will say you're a terrible tank, you're a warrior, you can't tank at all. No, it's not true. Not true at all. Um, so the 4 set bonus is actually really powerful. Obviously, you're going to want to upgrade to your tier 10 set, which is the best in slot gear. You get 2870 armor from a pair of gloves, like I said. So that's almost 3,000 alone. Follow with the 885 armor from this, and you're getting like 3,700, 3,800 armor from just your gloves, right? You're getting hit rating from it instead of dodge parry, right? So you're going to be getting more threat from these. The tier 10 chest piece gives you 4,100 armor. That's ridiculous compared to the current 2,300. So that's 1,800 armor difference. And it gives you just a whole bunch more stamina and stats. So the tier 10 set, like just the gloves and the hands alone, are really strong. Then you get the 20% damage increase of Shockwave and Shield Slam, which is really strong. So the 2-set bonus gives you threat. The 4-set bonus gives you another defensive cooldown that happens every minute. It's not the best like every other T10 set. DKs get 12% damage reduction cooldown. Yeah, so Death Knights get 12% damage reduction. What do uh, Paladins get? I think they get something really broken. I remember. And then Warriors, they only get a 20% health shield every minute, but that shield is actually really powerful. So you would use shield block, and then you would use your blood rage. This gives you the 20% of your health every time you use blood rage, meaning every minute you would get 20% of your max health as a shield. That's post mitigation damage, so essentially you can block a hit every minute. Not bad, but not like it's gonna be all that amazing. So there's that. The tier 10 set's actually really great in my opinion. I think it's very powerful. And then you have capes. This is from the Culling of Stratholme on normal mode. If you do the second boss at wave 10, he drops this. I got this off the first time I did it. I got lucky. Um, but this gives you 500 armor and some defense rating, strength, and stamina. It's really the bare minimum. I have another cape that's arguably better. I think I don't know what I did with it. Um, like this could be something that you would want to use, but it doesn't give you the defensive stats. But there's a whole lot of options that you can use, and they're all out there, right? You can get so there's a necklace from Halls of Reflection you can get, or you can get this. This is the Rot Face 25-man normal necklace. For bracers, you can get ICC 10 Sarfang on heroic or normal. These are pretty much the best in slot bracers. To replace this shield, you need the gunship 10-man heroic, which is literally free loot. Gunship is free loot, so you would always do that on heroic. If you're not doing that on heroic, you're either not able to, or you are just a moron. You can use any one-hander. The more damage, the better, because obviously. So I would say slower attacking weapons are better than fast attacking weapons because Devastate's damage is based on weapon damage. I'm sure there's probably Heroic Strike that is based on weapon damage as well. That increases melee damage. Okay, so Heroic Strike is just based on flat damage increasing, so it doesn't even matter. So you would use Heroic Strike if you have like a lot of rage generation. You could use Heroic Strike a whole ton for damage with a faster attacking weapon. And I mean, overall, it doesn't really matter if it's fast or slow, as long as there's more weapon damage per second, because it just gives you more threat, right? And the more stats you get, the better. Rowan's rifle of silver bullets. This drops off of trash. You don't really have to worry about paying too much. It's cheap. The Black Heart drops off of Trial of the Crusader 5-man normal. This is the best in slot trinket, better than literally every other trinket for Deathbringer Sarfang, the 4th boss in ICC, and the first challenge you'll actually meet. This has a 45-second cooldown, and it gives you 7,000 armor for 10 seconds. And as a tank, you're going to be tanking the boss for 20 seconds. You're going to be AFK for 20 seconds. Tanking the boss for 20 seconds, AFK for 10 seconds. The cooldown essentially damn near matches up with the way the boss is tanked, and that means that for the vast majority of the fight, half the time you're tanking, you're going to have 7,000 armor, plus you're going to have the 126 stamina. No other trinket can match this, not even the best in slot trinkets, and this trinket will always have a use for you, for that boss specifically, because of the way the fight works. And unless you're like overcapped on armor and you're already like full best in slot, or you have all the best armor gear and you're using potions and stuff, then this might be outperformed. But for the vast majority of players, even very near best in slot, will still get use out of this, because if you have 43,000 armor, you're still gonna get use, like you're still gonna use this as your best trinket for Sarfang. And then unidentifiable organ. This is a nice trinket, but a replacement cheap factor. You're gonna get your emblems of triumph. You're gonna go to that one vendor where you're getting all your trash gear, and you're gonna get this trinket. This is an 1800 armor with no actual benefit. It's just 512 dodge rating every 2 minutes. It's a defensive cooldown, quote unquote defensive, but it's just dodge rating, so it's trash. But you're going to use this as an armor token to fill this slot, right? And that's going to give you more armor to mitigate damage. You're going to want both of these because they give you armor. Blackheart gives you a cooldown, armor cooldown, and then the other one gives you just flat armor. You're going to want to use the Onyxia trinket. This is a trash BOE that you could buy. It's actually really good. You use this plus the Onyxia trinket or the Emblem of Triumph ring. Let me see. Right here, Clutch of Fortification. This costs 35 Emblems of Triumph. Gives you 560 armors, a bunch of stats, and some defense rating. So this is overall a really good ring. I would recommend armor rings over these just because they're better. Warrior does not have that big of a bonus when it comes to armor from gear. They get a lot of their armor from the shield. So unlike Death Knights, who don't really value the armor off of jewelry so much, warriors do. This armor contributes to the overall armor by a lot. The armor here and here would contribute, the armor from your trinkets would contribute, and you'd be able to get a lot of armor really quickly because of that. Whereas Death Knights would want higher stats on all their base gear, as the Frost Presence increases the armor that they get. Also, the bonus armor from this, you see how the armor is green? That means a magical effect is giving it more armor. What it really means to say is where it says equip, increases defense rating by 26, it would have a white amount of armor of like 118, and then it would have equip increases armor by 336 or something like that, right? So that means that it's a magical effect. It's not part of the arm, like the base item's armor value, and it's not increased by this. Toughness does not increase it. So the Frost Presence on Death Knights does not increase it, nor does the armor bonus from Paladins increase the armor. Um, Paladins and Warriors only have to worry about it by 10%, whereas Death Knights have to worry about 60%. So that's why you really want jewelry giving you armor, and you really want trinkets giving you armor. Sometimes you can't afford it, it's fine. Sometimes health takes priority. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's all about trying to make life better for your healers. Um, as you don't want the healers to have to work so hard. Sometimes because it's based on skill. Maybe you have a trash healer. Maybe your healer is new to the game. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. Or because you just don't want your healer working their asses off because you want a relaxing raid. You don't want the dude absolutely busting ass and thinking, wow, this tank is paper. This tank sucks. Um, so that then we go to the boots, to the pants. These are the best in slot BOEs that I told you about. The boots, like I said, this is just some Forge of Souls final boss boots that you can use. You can also use this is going to be taken with a grain of salt, but crafting, blacksmithing, armor, The Boots of Kingly Upheaval. I used to make this a mandatory item that our tanks would use. It's actually really nice for the hit rating, and it gives tons of stamina. It's better than these boots in a sense, but then you don't have the defense rating from this, so you would have to gem for it, or you would have to use something like this, which is a weapon that gives defense rating itself. So this is kind of a better weapon than the one I currently have. However, it has much less threat because it's 251 versus 277 item level. This is the Gunship 25 Heroic. Free loot. It's a good weapon for threat because it has higher weapon damage. And then we got Forge of Souls Trash belt. You can change this with the Emblem of Triumph belt or the Ulduar belt. Let me see. So the Emblem of Triumph belt, I think it's Emblem of Conquest. You go here and you check for belt, and right here. So the Emblem of Conquest belt is a better belt, but it doesn't have a gem slot, so it's really not that big of an upgrade. It's not that much better. And the craftable belt, the Ulduar belt that I was talking about, is this one right here, Indestructible Girdle. I've got to admit, this is actually a massive upgrade, but this also usually costs a ton of money because once you pass Ulduar in content, this belt is meh. Like, it's eh. But it does have 3 gem slots versus the 1 gem slot because of the belt of the um, Eternal Belt Buckle. You can put 1 extra gem slot into any belt. That's the enchant for your belts, is an extra gem slot. And yeah, so that covers all the gear. Enchants, you do Sons of Hodier and you do the Argent Crusade, I think, and you get your helm and your shoulders enchant. Cape, you do armor. Chest piece, you do health. Like wrists, you do stamina. Gloves, you do armor from engineering, or you would do threat if you were not an engineer. Pants, you would do leatherworking enchant, and it gives you agility, stamina. Boots, you do stamina. You can also do the stamina movement speed, 15 stamina and some movement speed, which is really nice. I would say that would technically be best in slot. It's like the best thing that you can do, but I do like flat stamina more. Mongoose. The enchant for your weapon would be Mongoose. It increases attack speed every time you attack, but it does cost a metric ton. I was about to use the F word, but I'm trying to cut back on the videos, the swearing in the videos due to demonetization. So there's that. Shield, you can get 20 defense on your shield. That's actually very nice. And so now that we covered all the gear, we're gonna move on to talents. Talents, I'm just gonna show you all the talents. Shield specialization max, thunderclap max, insight max, last stand max, revenge max, shield mastery max, toughness max, spell reflection max, improved disciplines max, concussion blow, gag order, one-handed mastery, focus rage, do not maxes, 2 out of 3. Vigilance, improved defense stance. I like maxing this, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. I do think 1 point out of this and putting it into this would be worth it because giving up 2% of the damage that you deal versus gaining more rage, it would just be an overall threat increase in my opinion. Vitality max, safeguard, it's a nice talent, but it's not worth maxing. Is the person you're intervening does get damage reduction. However, if you understand how intervene works, you are taunting the whatever attacks they're taking off of them. So they're taking reduced damage and you're taking the damage from them. You can't use that on your tank because you're also reducing 10% of their threat. I tried using this until I realized that and I was like, oh shit. I'm actually just wiping the raid because the main tank can't hold aggro or my off tank can't get any aggro. So it wasn't a good idea. Warbringer, obviously you have to take this. This is a mandatory. This is the best talent in all of the Warriors trees, no matter what. Devastate, crit, crit block, sword and board, and damage shield are all things you want to take. And then shockwave. Most of these are all self-explanatory. I don't need to explain why you want to take these. Anticipation is nice for 5% dodge value. However, you do need threat. You're already a warrior. Your threat capabilities are lacking. Even with all of the stuff that I mentioned, all of this shit, it's all bad threat. Your threat is always going to be garbage. When you're comparing to the highest level Fury Warrior who has 25,000 DPS and he's got Shadowmore and he's going crazy. Do. Like, it's just ridiculous. Um, so, like, generating threat like that is very important. Um, I did not optimize to take Puncture or Focused Rage, as they would be important and very useful. It would be a total of 4 extra rage reduced on Devastate's cost. And at this point, you can see Devastate costs 13 rage. It would cost 9 with both of these, which would make it very cheap. You would also like have just more rage overall. Um, However, I feel like the rage economy in this is still decent, and you can pull modest threat without having too many worries. And this is overall spec for maximum defensive capabilities. Booming voice gives you increases the area of effect and the duration, so you get longer shouts and they affect people further. So you can use the mid fight to refresh your shouts. Armor to the teeth gives you attack power every time you gain armor. So the more armor you have, the more attack power you have. Which is another reason why I like armor over health, because armor gives you threat. Then we have improved demoralizing shout. You can honestly take unbridled wrath and forego demoralizing shout, and I think that would be the much better option if you have another warrior able to take this, or you have a retri paladin taking the attack power reduction. However, I take this simply because I want um, the reduced attack power. And I feel like this is also the highest reduction of attack power. However, I do not like the fact that I have to forego all this like extra rage generation from Unbridled Wrath. So I'm slowly starting to think that the trade-off is not worth it, and that it's not a good option to take this. Also, taking 1 point in this is foolish. You want to take either 5 points or no points, because you don't want to use a subpar skill on an enemy, right? It'll just be overridden and you'll just be wasting your time. Commanding Presence, Piercing Howl, and Cleave are all obvious that you want to take. Cleave gives you AoE threat. Arguably, you can take Unbridled Wrath instead of Cleave, but then your Cleave is just lacking, and your AoE threat, your area of effect threat, is still lacking. I don't know about that one. That one's optional. Between this and this are both optional. Um, Piercing Howl situational. You don't have to take this when you can take this, and you can overall You can overall forego both of these and take 4 points in this and solve most of your rage issues. Or you can take on the responsibility of having these, being able to do the AoE and the slows and stuff and all that. Or yeah. This is obvious. You take this because you want the extra health on Commanding Shout, which is your health buff, and you're the only warrior in the game that's going to be using this, uh, as no other warrior is going to be wanting to take commanding presence when they want to just do the most damage they can do, right? So why would they take health when there's no point? You're taking health because you're a tank. Makes sense. Easy peasy. You forego the 5 points into parry here because, as I said before, the other things just overall matter more. You don't even have the points to put into unbridled wrath to generate more fury. Why would you go and take avoidance there? Same with anticipation. Uh, I opted to put the extra point into Focus Rage instead of putting the point into Unbridled Wrath. And the reasoning for that is because reduced rage cost is better than generating a little bit more rage. Even if I generate five more rage, I could save that 5 rage by reducing the cost of all my skills by 1. I save that 5 rage off of the next 5 skills, you know. And I doubt it's even 5 points of rage per skill. It's more like 2 or 3. Obviously it adds up, but who knows? It's a whole bunch of like complex mechanics at that point. But either way, you have some threat issues, you have some problems. You definitely feel the lack of having um like the rage to do everything, but the more enemies hitting you the better, because then it solves all your problems, right? The more you're being hit, the more it solves your problems. So the more you're tanking, the more your problems get solved, and that encourages you to tank. So overall, the playstyle is good. The character is fun. This is by far the most fun fucking freaking tank uh, I have ever played. Out of all the tanks, this is the underdog. This tank is the weakest tank class in the entire game. There is nothing going for it. You don't have anything going for it. So if you can make it work, that means you're good. If you see a warrior tank and you're like, damn, this guy is tanking really well, it's not because the class is overpowered. It's not because, oh, he's playing Paladin. It's because this guy is playing warrior. This guy is good. So if you're looking to play a class where you're the underdog and you're able to gain respect for yourself just because you're good at the game, this is it. This is where you flex on people. This is where you showcase your skill. But don't cry. Don't cry and complain when people are like, "Oh, I don't want to take a warrior to the raid." That's like you can't take as a warrior. That's trash. You know, it's like, because the problem is uh the majority do not speak for the minority, and playing the warrior, if you can make it work, you're the minority at that point. Overall, this character is the best tank that I've ever played. Not the most efficient, not the most powerful. Although arguably I'm doing really, really well with it. I cannot solidly say this is a better option than Death Knight, but at least it's an option. And it's like with with the abilities that I've done here, like with all the abilities and the rotations and the cooldowns and stuff, with everything that I got, I can solidly say that. Ow, ow, I'm stretching. Sorry. I can solidly say this champ, not champ. Ah, fuck. Playing Lord, League of Legends, Lord of Legends, no, League of Legends. But yeah, this character is the most fun character that you can choose. Um, and it's also one of the most challenging. And the fun is in the journey. It's not in having everything spoon fed to you. So yeah. Also, base health of 40,000. That's awesome. You can have quite a bit of health once you go into ICC. This is without buffs. Once I get into ICC, I have like 52,000, and then considering buffs and stuff, like I go up to like 64,000. So whole lot of health. The stat cell scaling that I was surprised about was this vitality. It's a 9% increase on your stamina, which is really nice. And you do still get that flat expertise and strength. Really dope. Okay, so now that I covered all of that, I'm gonna look into seeing if I missed anything. Um, talents, glyphs, gear, rotation skills, revenge, last stand. Oh yeah, revenge. So that's real. I said it, but I didn't show it. Yes. Okay. So I'm glad I did not end the video yet, and I'm not going to quite yet. You have arms spec that you need to set up. This is important. This is a raid DPS increase. Um, when you're tanking the boss, you do not have to be in defensive stance to mitigate all the damage. It reduces damage you take by 10%. So you do not have to always be in defensive stance and avoid dying. You're a tank. You can take 1 or 2 hits without the damage reduction of this, but this is important. You pop into battle stance. So you pop in a battle stance, you pop your blood rage, and you activate your shattering throw. So these are four things that you want to set up uh your battle stance for, right? Shattering throw, blood rage, defensive stance, and retaliation. You want to use retaliation before going into a pool. It gives you the ability to counterattack every enemy that hits you. Every time they hit you, you automatically hit them back for weapon damage, meaning that you get free threat off of this. You have a pre-activated cooldown that gives you free threat. I believe this puts your shield wall on cooldown for like 30 seconds or something, but you'll be fine. You have last stand and then rage regeneration before you even need to think about that. Um, but yeah, you would pop Blood Rage, you would throw Shattering Throw, and then you would swap back to defensive stance. This is quite easy. I'll show you how to do it um, on the dummies. But what this does is it reduces the armor of the boss by 20%. You can actually use this during Bloodlust, like during cooldown popping, to make everyone do more damage. So you don't even need to do it immediately at the start. And it's better to do it when you have like lower fury than when you have a lot. So let's go like this. Say we engage, we're fighting, blah 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 blah. We're gonna swap to this, activate Berserker Rage and Blood Rage. We're gonna throw this at her, activate this, and swap back, and boom. It took us like 2 seconds to do it, but now he has Shattering Throw and his armor is reduced by 20%, right? Very massive, very big for DPS when everybody's popping cooldowns. You have STS, Deathbringer's Will, like enrage effects and stuff, all the stuff that activates like during the bloodlust on the pool, and reducing the boss's armor by 20%. Like I said earlier, level 83 targets have higher armor than level 80. And so even if a warrior has like maximum armor pen, and they're using like 5 stacks of Sunder armor, so you're already using Sunder armor to get their armor reduced, right? So you get them down to 20% armor already. You reduce their armor by another 20% from Shattering Throw, and they have improved Fairy Fire on 5%. Their armor is reduced to a level which is equivalent to the maximum armor penetration against level 80s, right? So you're essentially reducing them down to level 80 and then letting people do true damage on them. So you're helping your raid penetrate their damage, and that cooldown alone can increase someone's burst damage by like 2 or 3 thousand. So people can see numbers instead of going to 20,000, they'll see like 23, 24,000. Wow, oh my god, this guy's going crazy, right? And they don't even realize that it's because you're a warrior who knows his class and knows how to play, and can swap to battle stance and use this. And if you have a whole bunch of warriors in the raid, I recommend you have every single one of them set up their entire arms battle stance like this, where they have Shattering Throw, Blood Rage, defensive stance, or Berserker stance right here if you're a Fury Warrior, right there, and you just pop Blood Rage and Shattering Throw and swap back to your stance. And it takes like the cooldown of 2 GCDs. Yeah, so you swap, activate this. No global cooldown on this. So you swap, activate this, pop this, and then swap back. Boom. And it takes 1, 2, 3 global cooldowns for a massive raid-wide damage boost. And the time that it takes 3 global cooldowns, that's 3 seconds in Fury. You wouldn't have to worry about anything because your Bloodthirst and your Whirlwind are 6-second cooldowns. For defensive stance Prot Warriors, you don't have to worry about it because you're already generating a solid amount of threat and you already got this. I don't know. I've never had a problem with it. It's always been a net benefit to me, and it's always been a massive skill showcase, uh, like a massive boost to your skill and ability. So I think that covers everything, but I'm gonna go into Flask. You're gonna want to use Flask of Stone Blood, Gems of Forgotten King, and Rune Scroll of Fortitude in case you're missing a Druid and a um, Priest. And then you're going to want to get Fish Feast with cooking so you can boost your stamina and attack power and everything overall. So your whole raid gets boosted through cooking. So that's another thing. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. The tier 10 set. When you get your tier 10 set, you're going to pop Blood Rage every minute. You're not going to pop it when you get Shield Block because you want to use it differently, right? Also, you can use Blood Rage when you have Last Stand, as Last Stand increases your health by 30%, then the Blood Rage would give you 20% of your total health as a shield. So instead of getting 20%, um, you're going to get like 29% or something. No, it was 39. It's 26, I think. Yeah, it should be 26% of your total health. But obviously it's still going to be 20% of your total health as your health is increased, but 26% of your base health versus the total health. So it's more is what I'm saying. Um, and yeah, I think I've covered literally everything at this point. I don't think I can cover anything more. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Check out some of my other guides. I have ICC guides, class guides, and a whole bunch of other content. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. If you did watch the video all the way through, drop a comment below and tell me what you think. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. Catch you later. Bye.